Welcome back to the garage. Today, perhaps at long last, I will get these brakes just done and out of the way. I was going to pick up a preformed brake line set. They're pretty pricey, and I've already spent way too much on this Jeep and it doesn't even drive yet. So I decided to try my hand at making my own. So I should have plenty of line. I intentionally overbought so I can make a few mistakes and not have to worry too much about it. Hopefully what I've picked up will suffice for this Jeep. I've got a probably Chinesium double flaring tool here, and I've got a similarly Chinesium brake tubing bender, so that'll give me a few good 90 degrees. Don't get me wrong, a lot of things are made in China these days, but the stuff that's cheaper is cheaper for a reason. I've got the proper fittings, though these are a bit longer than I'd like. Got some proper 3/16 steel line. And with any luck, after watching a few tutorials, I may actually know what I'm doing and I may actually have some brake lines. Most everyone says that there's really not much to it. Once you get the flares on there, it just does what it needs to do. So, how hard can it be? Alright, we have our brake line. What you're supposed to not forget is to put one of these ends on it. Probably needs to be a straighter section of line before you do that. And probably not put it on upside down. That, of course, would be the correct way. In my application, that doesn't really matter. This is just a test piece. Loosen that way too much. Hopefully, one of these is clearly marked 3/16. I didn't have high expectations, but there it is. We only need, basically the tool is a measuring tool in itself. We only need about that much of the line to do that flare, that first flare. So that's how much we need. We'll tighten this up. Get that tightened up snug enough that it's not going to go anywhere. Well, everyone on YouTube seems to like using a vise for this, so I'm just a stupid monkey, so monkey see, monkey do. They also suggest putting a slight chamfer around the edges. Okay. And cutting a little bit out of the inside. Making sure the surface is nice and level. Okay. Simple enough. This is the factory cut end, so I don't think it's going to be necessary on this one. Yeah, don't cringe too much. I gotta learn somehow. All right, the height was set. It's tightened down pretty good. That's nice and clean and flat. We flip that over. We get this guy. Square that up pretty good. And then we start torquing this down. And then I knock it loose and mess up everything. Hey. All right. Snug. Not torquing it down too much. Take that guy out of the way. That looks to have done nothing. It looks to have actually pushed the tube down because I guess I didn't tighten this enough. Well, how else do you learn if not by tearing it up? If that were going on the Jeep, I'd probably just cut that off. Try again. We actually torque it down like we mean it this time. We stop talking about ourselves in the third person as if we are the royal we. I begin to see the benefit of getting a more expensive tool that has a reamer and actual wing nuts or thumb screws on this. All right, let's try that again. All right. That's squashed down-ish. Does it look flared? To me, not particularly, but I don't know what I'm doing, so. Then the last step is to use this. Make the other flare. All right, that looks particularly flary. And then we have this. Which should, maybe if I clean that up a little bit because I tore it up, but should sit on one of these and should form a good seal in one of these when torqued down properly. Simple enough, right? There's 5 minutes of me stumbling through that already. Upon much closer examination, I don't know how well a GoPro is going to show this, that doesn't really seat all that well. It's because of this gouge in the metal where I didn't clamp it up properly. So I suppose I can try filing some of this down, and maybe with some work this could be usable. It's closer. I don't know. We'll see. With any luck, my next attempts will be better. It seats pretty tightly, in my amateur opinion. The only way to truly test this, of course, would be to apply pressure to the brake system. And since I don't really have one of those right now, can't really do much. What I could test is a quick, can I make a 90-degree bend on this? Okay, so there's your rough 90-degree bend. It's not pretty, but this is my very first attempt at ever doing a double flared brake line, so not great, not terrible. All right. Once more, I don't know if I may have overdone it on the clamping it down thing, but I think I might have a problem with the tool. Because it's really obvious on here where the lips are from the seam. I don't know if that's a cheap tool problem or a maybe I compressed too hard problem. But either way, there is not a level surface on this lip whatsoever. Aha, you see, so my fittings might not be any good. I doubt if you can see in there, but I'm seeing little brass shavings in there. Like when I torqued it down, I did something wrong. Also, it looks like I've damaged this fitting. I don't know if that shows up, but there's a little chunk, little divot in there. So this is now keyed to that damaged part, or maybe mis-stamped part from this tool. The thing is here, this has to be right. So I need to do a little bit more practice and figure this out, because as most of my audience knows, it's a single pop master cylinder. So if I lose pressure because I did this wrong, you know, it's just my life I'm playing with, and maybe the lives of the other people out on the road. So I've got a little bit more learning to do on this to make sure that I can do this correctly and safely. Alright, so there's this guy on YouTube named Metal Shaper. Some of you guys might be familiar with that name. He's got a video on doing these double flares. I'll put a link, I guess it'll be in that corner. But that video just kind of helped me understand what I'm doing right and wrong. So that first one, aside from being a little bit barked up there from the tool I'm using, it turned out, you know, just about perfect. That's how they're pretty much supposed to be. This other side, the gist of what happened here is that I just torqued it down too much on that first step, and I created this lip that really shouldn't be there, and then I did the double flare and it looked okay, but when I tried to torque that into this this old brass fitting, the original one from the Jeep, I ended up forcing it to cram. Yeah, there it is. Cram it, that little thing there into the steel fitting to where it'll pretty much only fit that way, and that's no good because this thing has to rotate around. So it's not putting the even pressure on there unless it's sitting right there. So this is why I'm over here with 25 feet of the stuff, just, you know, practicing, because I'm gonna need some more practice on this. I probably burned a fitting there, you know, I don't think I can repair that one. It's not as simple as just cutting off the damaged part or hammering it out or something, because it's got this this inverted flare in here. So it's toast, but I learned a couple things. So I'll practice a little bit more, and with any luck, I'll be able to start replacing hard lines and soft lines that have been sitting around for a while now, and get this thing to where it'll stop. Thanks for watching. Got no clue what I'm doing, just doing what YouTube tells me. I don't know what I'm doing. I hope I don't f this up. I think I'm getting better at this. That one actually appears to have the correct double flare.